This podcast episode is sponsored by Heckham Senior Home Financing.
Good day, seniors and active adults. Welcome back to our YouTube podcast, Get Your Weekly Slice, where we protect, inform, and educate you, our seniors and active adults, every week about what you should know as you age. It is about keeping you, our seniors, in the know. Let's begin. This is a senior's biggest fear as they age, part 2. It's about the discussions that need to take place with seniors and active adults amongst themselves and with their children or loved ones about them being proactive as opposed to reactive. Part 1, I gave you 5 fears that they have. Part 2 is going to be 5 additional fears. I'm going to start with losing ability to manage tasks of daily living. And what that encompasses is if they need help with bathing, eating, dressing, and those are the main ones. So when this happens, they feel like they're losing control and they're going to lose their independence. So it's important to make sure that they continue to do as much as they can, even if it takes them longer, just as long as they can do it. And again, the 3 biggest ones are bathing, eating, and dressing. And when there's help that is needed outside via home health care, long-term care insurance, VA benefits, any of those 3 criteria, if they qualify for those 2 types of payments, those 3, the bathing, the eating, and the dressing, will allow them to qualify for assistance financial. So keep that in mind. They also need to know that they need to stay active, both physically and mentally. And they need to build strength and mobility. Daily exercises, move around, walk if they can, even if they're on a walker. There's certain walkers out there designed to prevent falls, keep them upright, and so they can exercise. And yoga, sitting down, is good exercise. But most importantly, they need to build their strength and their mobility so they don't end up losing that ability to manage the task of daily living. So number 7 is not being able to drive. And again, with some people, this is a biggie. And my past experiences have shown me some people know when it's time for them to quit driving. And being not able to drive can be a major factor in losing their independence, or so they seem. They can't just jump in the car like they would in the past to go to the places that they wanted to, and as they've been doing it years over years. So it's difficult if they're in that type of situation. I do know that a lot of people realize it's getting more difficult with traffic in their area. So what they end up doing is they stay real local. And if they have to go out or go to a place that's of distance, not far away, but of distance, they won't use the main arteries because they are usually crowded, cramped, and it just kind of takes them out of their out of sync when it comes to so many things to concentrate when they're on the road. So a lot of people will continue to drive, but again, they'll stay within 5 miles of where they live. But it's on their mind that someday in the very near future, they're going to have to give up that ability to drive. And they're going to have to depend on friends, family. There's always Uber and Lyft. And always keep in mind, and I know it's in the back of their mind, that if they have to move, then the senior communities will have transportation for them to go to doctors, to go to the grocery store if needed, those type of things. I do know that there is, and there's starting to be more of them, especially here in the Orlando area, where there's a doctor office and they focus specifically on people who are 65 and above. And they are willing, and there's 5 locations, they're not all over Central Florida, but there's 5 locations, and they'll be more than happy to pick you up and take you to your doctor's appointment and deliver you back home. So keep that in mind if that is a concern about getting to and from doctor's appointments. But there are options out there more so now than there ever was in the past for you as a senior active adult staying at home or living in a community. If you decide not to drive, you'll be able to do that. And keep in mind, no more insurance costs, no more costs of upkeeping the car. And most importantly, you're keeping yourself and others safe and secure. And that's got to take a load off of your mind and a lot of other people's minds. So, again, there are plenty of options if you decide that it's time to give up the keys, sell the car, and move on in life. There's plenty of people out there, friends, family, communities that will be able, Uber and Lyft, to help you achieve the goal of getting from one place to another. So let's think about others when it comes to safety and driving. Most importantly, as you think about others, think about yourself, how rattled you would become if you were in an accident, either your fault or someone else's fault. That will rattle you. So, number 8 is feeling lonely or isolated. Now, again, I've got plenty of podcasts out there, and this one kind of hits home because a majority of the people who live at home are single, could be divorced, they lost their husband or a significant other, and they're living by themselves. And it's real easy to live by yourself and you waste time, especially if you don't keep yourself active and all you do is sit there and watch TV day in and day out. So the pandemic has made it worse with people and their lockdowns and the onslaught of depression, loneliness, isolation. Not in all states, but in most states, the pandemic has hurt and affected a lot of people's mental health. So, listening to the news day in and day out is not always the best thing to do. Personally, I don't watch the news because there's simply too much negativity that they spew out on a day to day basis. It's nothing positive, it's always negative. Independent communities, a lot of them will focus on socialization. I know it's a big one, but people, if they have to move, it's to their benefit, both security wise and socialization wise, most importantly, because they're going to be able to meet more people similar in age. They'll be able to conduct and do more activities with people similar to their age. And they're also going to be in a secure environment. So there's going to be less depression less isolation, and less loneliness when you decide to make that move. Again, it's entirely up to you. You're in control. You need to stay in control, but you need to have or be open minded about the types of options that are available that will get you over the hump and provide you a purpose in life. So keep that in mind. If you live alone and you don't drive, this is something is needed to be strongly considered. If you stay at home, look into senior centers locally where you can go maybe once or 5 days a week, 3 days a week, 2 days a week, where you will have some socialization. Stay in contact with neighbors. I know they move, they go. In some instances, it's hard in bigger cities to have a good neighborly connection. But if you go to church, you'll have those connections. And you've got friends that you either worked with, you retired with. Try and stay in contact with them if at all possible. It's important to talk with someone either once, twice, or 3 times a day. You need to stay active. Go to the library. Library has a lot of programs at their library. They're safe, but also they do a lot of virtual. I know virtual for seniors and active adults is really next to nil, but there are those options if you want to take advantage of learning and you have a computer. Kind of go to the library. They'll teach you how to go online and be able to watch some of the valuable resources that they provide at the library. So keep that in mind. Read, that'll keep you active. Stay connected with friends and family overall.
This is Tim Linger. I'm your reverse mortgage professional. The federal government, FHA, has a very safe type of reverse mortgage for those 62 and above that live in their own home. How would you like to pull out 40 to 50% of your home's equity with optional monthly mortgage payments for the rest of your life? The basic rules are you must be 62 and above and live in the home. Give me a call. Again, this is Tim, 321-356-9229.
Number 9 is being cared for by strangers. Now, you need to take into consideration if you want to stay at home and you're looking for a caregiver, you need to make sure that number one, they're background checked. I don't care if it's a friend or a family member that says they know of a person who will be able to come in once, 2, 3 times a week to check on you. You got to make sure that they're background checked. Now, there's a lot of home health care companies that offer their services. A majority of those are safe. I have recommendations that I can refer you to. Always keep in mind, I don't get referral fees. It's all about keeping you protected and informed and educated with what I do. But you want to know that to prevent scams, to prevent yourself from being taken advantage of, money being stolen, you need to have a caregiver, again, that you can trust. But you got to verify that they're background checked, they're honest. They got to get referrals. Reach out to me or Alba at your Florida Haven, and we'll be able to connect you. You'll be able to have a caregiver that we know that's independent, that we trust, that's background checked, or we can refer you to caregivers, home health care companies that have caregivers. And because there's so many of them that they employ, they'll be able to match you up with the right individual. And it'll be a win-win for you, and you'll be protected. So keep that in mind. Any of the referrals that I provide out to people, I vet all of them to make sure that they're the right fit for me to refer out to you. Because again, what I advocate is protection, information, and education. Keep in mind, my podcast that you're currently watching is called Get Your Weekly Slice, and it comes from Protect, Inform, and Educate, the acronym for PI. So keep that in mind. And then it needs to be a good fit for you, that you're happy, the caregiver's happy working with you, and everything is a go. And most importantly, you're protected and they're there to assist and help you. So being cared by strangers is a big thing, but you got to make sure you got the right strangers who ultimately become friends and working partners with you. So, and the last one is, of course, it's a biggie. It's falling or getting injured. And so keep in mind, 1 in 3 seniors have a fall. Falling is one of the top issues with aging. That's a lot. That's huge. And a lot of falls, if you're living at home, can be because of the flooring. You don't have enough grab bars, enough protection. Your medications can be sometimes overwhelming. They'll make you dizzy. So you need a lot of things put in place to prevent falls. Get rid of rugs, handrails and grab bars, like I mentioned. Check your medications because sometimes they'll make you dizzy and you'll apt to have a fall. You got to make sure you got the right walkers. There's so many different types. I have places I can recommend that you'll go to get fitted for a walker to make sure that it's the right one that fits you and your needs. Keep in mind, in assisted living, it's important that if you're having difficult, a lot of my clients, their legs over age just get tired and they have mobility issues. Even though they try to exercise as much as possible, do therapy, it's still not enough. I mean, it's just life. So if they have to move into assisted living, they're able to get the right walkers and they can exercise there. It's important that if you're at home, you're having difficulty moving up and down steps, it's time to consider to get rid of the house and get into a place which we specialize in, helping people, providing you options as to what would be best for you when you make that next transition. But it's not doing you any good to keep a house that's got stairs because you're not using them. You're not going up them. It's not recommended that you go up them. But most importantly, you're wasting money every month by having someone clean the upstairs, have someone, have AC heat for the upstairs. You're wasting money where you can be on one level, one floor, or in a community that will work to your advantage. The other thing to consider, this is what we help out with the process when it comes to downsizing, decluttering. We have the individuals or the groups or the teams that will be able to help you declutter your home or downsize your home to make it easier to prevent falls. And there's also, keep in mind that increased lighting will help efficiently because your eyesight is starting to wane as you age, and increase the lighting, make it brighter, will help tremendously to prevent falls. And there's also a group of retired physical therapists that I knew that I recommend that have shared and come to my seminars. When I do them at the library, every month I do a seminar called the Smarter Senior Seminar Series. They'll come and they'll give you tips on how to walk to prevent falls. And they do offer an 8-week free program going extensively into what you need to do to prepare your house so you can prevent falls. And most importantly, the worst fall is when you fall, you break something, then you got to go to rehab or you hit your head. And that's concerning when that happens. So let me recap the next or the last five, 6 through 10: losing ability to manage daily tasks, living tasks, not being able to drive, feeling lonely or isolated that leads to depression, being cared for by strangers, and falling or getting injured. In closing, I hope you enjoyed today's Get Your Weekly Slice. If you'd like to discuss further today's topic, you can reach me via email at mike@your, Y-O-U-R, Florida, spelled out, Haven, Haven.com, or call me at 407-340-5291 to set up an appointment. I provide a free 1.5-hour in-person meeting to discuss your future plans on aging while providing you a minimum of 3 options to choose from. Don't forget to follow us and like us on Facebook and Instagram. While on my website at yourfloridahaven.com, sign up for my monthly newsletter, RSV to any of my in-person events, which are held at the Orange County Library, Smarter Senior Seminar Series events, and to view any and all of my videos and podcasts. We hope these podcasts are helpful, and if they are, please share with your friends, family, and neighbors by letting them know what we offer as certified senior housing professionals, designated real estate agents, to our seniors and active adults as they age. We're a connector. It is about keeping seniors in the know. Till next time, when you come back to get your weekly slice.
This podcast episode is sponsored by Hecum, Senior Home Financing.